Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Soapbox Slam, where I get on my soapbox and I talk about the things that I see going on. And this particular soapbox, I'm adamant about really having the confidence to get in front of my green screen because it would be so much easier to go through these numbers and talk about this stuff with the green screen in the back. But it's also a thing that I'm very comfortable in my truck, doing my soapboxes in my truck where I'm on my way to somewhere, and I talk about these things. So I get the conundrum, and I'll only say that as time goes on and as I gain more confidence in being in front of a green screen, the production value will get better. But that's not waiting for me to get in front of a green screen does not change the reality of the things that I'm posting and the research that I've done when it comes to topics. And I implore you to follow through in this particular soapbox slam. So please watch all the way to the end. And in addition to watching all the way to the end, I would plead with you to really put pressure back on our representatives and really put pressure back on the so-called people who are supposed to represent us, state representatives, federal representatives, your state governor, your state Congress people, your federal president, your federal House of Representatives, and your federal senators, because these people are not only crooks, but they're absolutely delusional in what is going on in the real world today. Okay, now a friend of mine, literally just slipped into some serious depression because he was faced with unbelievable economic hardship. And I myself am on the brink of unbelievable economic hardship and really struggle myself. I can understand, and it's not necessarily on his level, but I can understand the unbelievable frustration and desire to just give up. I struggle to say it myself, but there are a lot of times where I just feel like, what's the point? What's the point? Insurance companies raise the insurance rate so high that they're going to price you out of your homes. Food costs and everything else is so high that they price you out of being prosperous. The ability to take care of your home or anything else is priced so high that you can't even replace your air conditioning system or replace your roof without having to finance and being forever debt and everything else. You can't buy a car without it being insanely expensive. You can't have insurance, car insurance, without being insanely expensive. You can't have homeowners insurance without it being insanely inspected. Who the fuck do these representatives think that they are representing? Who in the world can live the way these people think we can live? It's unreasonable. It really is unreasonable. Now, what I really want to talk about is actually the situation that my friend is in, because he is not alone, and many people are not alone. I'm in the same situation on a little bit of a different scale, but this particular person, let's just go through this, all right? I am talking about how I am on my soapbox today to talk about how delusional, absolutely delusional, state representatives and the federal government is in determining what a poverty line or poverty level is. This is insulting. It's unbelievably insulting. People, sit down and do your own numbers. I'll show you mine. I'll show you my research and my numbers on all of this and what I am finding out based on what my friend told me. It's unfathomable. It is truly unreal. The United States is a third world country, but they don't want to admit that they're a third world country because they want to pretend, especially these representatives and everybody else want to pretend like everything is hunky-dory. and they endorse the corporations to make insane profits without the average person having a living wage. Now, this is not me exaggerating. This is the hard truth. Now, I present a question to you people who sit up here and want to criticize and put down people who are on welfare, people who are taking from the government on government subsidies. Mind your tongue and really look into the numbers as to why people have given up and just let the government subsidize them, which is why everything keeps getting inflated. It's a sick cycle. And our representatives are guilty of creating this cycle and perpetuating the cycle. It's sad. It is unbelievably sad. Now, I'm going to get into the numbers. My friend called me and was unbelievably depressed, sad, tears, at the point of giving up. And I'm listening to him and understanding, what he's enduring and what he's feeling. And I'm trying to understand it. He's telling me information and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. Let me research what he's talking about. Okay. This particular person only makes $18 an hour. He is required to get insurance, health insurance. He's applying to health insurance and he's applying for assistance. Okay. He makes $18 an hour. That's $720 a week. That is before taxes. Mind you, he still has to pay the taxes that come out. So we're just going based off of no taxes being taken out. $18 an hour. That means $720 a week. That's a yearly salary of $38,000. Okay. Now, the national poverty level, which to me is unbelievably low. Last year, for 2023, the federal government declared the national poverty level at $15,060. Now, that's supposed to be the national poverty level for a single individual, okay? A single individual. If he makes less than $15,000 a year, he is considered poor. Anybody else who makes above $15,000 a year, they're not poor, they're working class or the working poor. But the national government and state government doesn't recognize a working poor. They set a specific number, $15,060, and say that is the national poverty level. Now, the reason why, again, this is absurd, absolutely absurd, because the national poverty level needs to be significantly higher than that number. Seriously, that number is understated. And why would they understate? What is in their interest to understate that number? Because if they can keep that number low, they can say we're not a third world country. It's a farce. In Illinois, the so-called Illinois poverty level is $27,479. Now that's Illinois, what Illinois, the state of Illinois, recognizes as a poverty level. Now, it's higher than the so-called national, but in all honesty, it's an insanely ridiculous number. Like I said, my friend makes $18 an hour. That's $720 a week. That's a yearly salary of $38,000 a year. Now, that's roughly $11,000 higher than the so-called Illinois poverty level. But let's backtrack and let's look at the numbers, right? This is what our government wants us to believe. The state of Illinois wants us to believe, and the federal government wants us to believe that this is a poverty line. Now, keep in mind, This particular individual wants to get an apartment. He only makes $720 a week. Guess what? There are no apartments available for $720. And the reason why I say that is all apartments for rentals require 3 times the rent. The average rent in Illinois, look this shit up yourself. The average rent in Illinois for a studio apartment is $1,225. That is the average for a studio. And I'm going to tell you right now, that average for a studio, let's say Chicago or urban city, one of the suburbs, that studio is in the hood. That is the lowest amount for a studio in the poorest areas, unsafest areas. That is what that number represents, $1,225. But guess what? This particular person who only makes $18 an hour, $720 a week, does not prove 3 times the rent. At $18 an hour, at $720 a week, he still cannot afford a studio apartment and be approved to get a studio apartment because he does not prove 3 times the rent, and the rent is $1,225. What world are you fucking people living in? All of you people who are so rich and flying all over the world and having your lollygaggy life do not have any concept of what the real person is dealing with. This is a real person at $18 an hour. Still cannot go out and get an apartment. What world are you living in? This makes no sense. It's completely nonsensical. How is this person supposed to live? Now that's just a roof over his head. Let's not talk about, in today's day and age, our fucking representatives allow insurance companies to mandate renter's insurance. So you have to have renter's insurance in order to rent an apartment. That's an additional cost on top of your apartment. Not to mention the fucking company. The building itself is supposed to have insurance too. What the fuck? So this person at $18 an hour who wants to rent a place can't prove 3 times the rent. But even if he could, let's talk about how much more money than $18 an hour he would need in order to survive. Because he's got to pay renter's insurance. He's got to pay for the new cost of foods. He's got to pay for utilities. He's got to pay for car insurance to get to and from work. He's got to pay a car note. He's got to pay medical costs out of his own pocket. How can he do this? How can this man survive? How can he live on his own? How can he put 2 and 2 together and get ahead? Now, his options are somehow figure this bullshit out, or you know what? Don't work at all. And just let the federal government take care of him. And that's why people opt to do it. And more people are going to continue to opt to do it when they can't meet the bare minimums to survive, or what they classify as fucking poverty. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Unbelievable. At $18 an hour. This is what a person at $18 an hour is forced to address. It's not sustainable. This is delusional. Because I can tell you right now, this person, my example, is like the majority of fucking Americans. Working class Americans. The majority. There are so many people who are in this predicament. Can't afford anything. Can't afford to do anything. Have no money for anything. This is unreasonable. And how the fuck you representatives think that 27,000 is a poverty level? No, y'all are some ignorant motherfuckers, because the poverty level is way higher than that. Way higher. You're required, mandated by law to pay for insurance. Mandated by law to pay for automobile insurance and have an automobile, because everybody doesn't live right across the street from their fucking job. So they have to pay for auto insurance and have a vehicle to get to and from work. They have to pay for rent. But wait, 12,000, we can do the math right now. I'll do the fucking math right now. 12,000, a person would need to make, I already did it, a person to show 3 times the rent for a studio apartment at $1,225, a person needs to make $3,675 a month. That's how much they need to make a month. Now, that's just to prove rent to get a place. Subtract the $1,225 from $3,675. That's left with $2,000 left, quote unquote, to pay renter's insurance, the cost of food, the cost of utilities, the cost of car insurance, the cost of an automobile note, the cost of medical care, the cost of, gasoline to get to and from work, because gasoline prices are so high. It wouldn't matter, even if you had an all-electric society, a person that makes only $18 an hour will not be able to afford to electrocute his car. You people are fucking insane. It's unreasonable, it's unfathomable, and it's completely detached from reality of what people are going through day in and day out. I am fighting for my friend here, but I can tell you right now, my fucking situation is no different. Yeah, you could add a few more zeros to my income or whatever else, but if I have to replace my roof, I gotta pay more than $45,000 to replace my roof. More than 10 to 20% of the value of my home to replace my roof. Who comes up with these numbers? How is this happening? It's happening because banks want you to finance. It's happening because by banks making you finance, it allows them to inflate profits, inflate the costs of things, and rake in huge profits. Now, this person is only making $18 fucking an hour and has to live, but yet is considered above poverty, right? He's above poverty. But let's just run down the amount of gross profit that these companies make. McDonald's, last year, 2023 profits, $14.563 billion. Walmart, last year, 2023, $155 billion. Amazon, last year, $30 billion. Coca-Cola, last year, $25 billion. American Airlines, last year, $803 million. Ford Motor Company, $25,641. GMC, $12.4 billion. Toyota Car Company, $61,699 million. AT&T, $24 billion. General Mills, $6.9 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $4.1 billion. Allstate Insurance, $57 billion. These fucking companies that hire, and they're gonna try and automate it so they don't have to pay the fucking salaries anymore. But these people are paying salaries so low because they don't make $18 an hour at McDonald's.
They don't make $18 an hour at Walmart. They barely make $18 to $22 at Amazon. They don't make $18 at Coca-Cola. Maybe they do in the factory. Maybe, depending on where the factory is. Ford, $25 billion, and GMC, $12 billion, but yet they want to get mad at the auto unions because the auto unions want a bigger piece of the pie. It's the unions' fault. You people want to be mad at unions because unions want a bigger portion of $25 billion a year. Good for the fucking unions. Good for the auto workers. When you have $25 billion and you're bitching because auto workers can barely get by, and I'm more in the position of the auto workers. I'm a union worker, and I don't make enough money to survive. I can't afford to put a new roof on my house. I can't afford to buy a new air conditioning system and upgrade air conditioning system. I can't afford it. $18,000 is the estimate I got for one air conditioning unit, AC HVAC system, to upgrade, because my system is more than 15 years old, and I pay an electric cost that's insane. My electric bill, $400 to $600 a month. So I pay huge amount of money to all these other companies, and I'm busting my ass, working 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, to pour all my money into things I still can't afford to take care of. I can't take care of my house. Hell, they raised my homeowner's insurance another $2,000 to insure my home. So the auto workers who are asking for more money, I'm in the same position of them, asking for more money because I can't even take care of my home. I am not prosperous. Nor are the fucking auto workers. But yet Ford has $25 billion. And yet you capitalists, you Republicans, and you people want to sit up there and say, oh, they earned it. No, Ford is fucking dead. He made his profits 10 times. There ain't a single person in the Ford organization, from the CEO, the board of directors, anybody in that, who earned the creativity or the existence of Ford. They didn't earn shit. They didn't build the car. They didn't do a goddamn thing. They didn't earn huge profits. This is the reason why there is a gross difference between the haves and the have-nots, and why there's no middle class. This is why. And there's no federal assistance subsidy, which I believe there should be, for people who are willing to work at $18 an hour. Because at $18 an hour, they're above the so-called poverty level, and there's no help for them. So that person's option is be a good, upstanding citizen and be a bootstraps person that you Republicans and you people who want to talk about black people and poor people, you sit up there on your fucking high horse acting like you know what the fuck you're talking about, when a person who's willing to fucking work and bust their ass cannot fucking survive. Your people are delusional. Do your own fucking numbers. This is insane, and this is why people are running to Donald Trump. This is why people don't have any faith in government. This is why people give up. It needs to fucking stop. It needs to fucking stop. It's unrealistic. I am beyond furious. That's what I'm on my soapbox about. People, wake the fuck up and start fighting back. Start getting on these fucking representatives' phones and letters and tell them they don't know what the fuck they're doing and vote their asses out. Democrat, Republican, it does not matter. They are not in it for you. They're not trying to help you be prosperous. They're not trying to encourage you to be a hard-working person and just live a simple life. Because this is not fucking simple. Having to have renter's insurance is not fucking simple. Having to prove 3 times the rent is not fucking simple. Your people are... I don't know what bubble you guys are living in. I don't know. Maybe I'm the fool because I care about what working class people are going through. Because I care about what I'm going through. And even if I bust my ass, I can't even be prosperous enough to take care of my fucking house. It's no wonder the black communities who do our homeowners, why they don't get a high value for their homes. Because you fucking know that they can't afford to keep it up. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I have no empathy or compassion for any representative or any party because nobody, you know what? Oh, you want to talk about shrinkflation. Shrinkflation. Kiss my ass. Oh, you want to start holding the companies accountable for shrinkflation. Guess what? Shrinkflation occurred way before the pandemic. That shit occurred long before the pandemic. I remember going to work and hearing the shit reported on the radio years before the pandemic that's what companies were doing. You representatives have known this was going on for a long time. Think about when the first time you saw the small 8-ounce Coca-Cola cans. Yet those small 8-ounce Coca-Cola cans were the same price as the 12-ounce Coca-Cola can, and the 12-ounce Coca-Cola can price went up. That happened long before the pandemic. Long before when you started seeing the 8-ounce Coca-Cola cans show up on the market. And it wasn't just Coca-Cola. General Mills did it, reducing the amount of cereal they were going to put in, but yet raise the price. So it's costing them less to manufacture it. It's costing them less to package it. It's costing them less because they're putting less product in it, but they're charging more money, quote unquote. That's why they made billions of dollars through the fucking pandemic. And still making billions of dollars. Profitable year after year. Profitable. General Mills, $9.6 billion. Right. Right. None of these companies care about you, and none of these politicians are out fighting against that. And they just now want to talk about shrinkflation on the news today. Elizabeth Warren waving the flag about shrinkflation and going after them. You're late to the fucking party. The damage is already fucking done. This is absurd. And this is what everyday people are going through. And those people have no idea. No idea. I have people who make lots of money, and they still are clueless as to how hard it is to fucking live. But yes, we're the fucking bums. I'm just a dumb nigger, so I couldn't have an education high enough to get me a better paying job. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? I'm still, I mean, you're not going to label me poor, but I still can't survive. What the fuck? Seriously. This is our great country. I'm telling you now, this was the design ever since integration happened. The moment we integrated this society and we started letting everybody come here and everything else, that's when the idea of prosperity in the middle class was gone. They weren't having it anymore. They weren't having it anymore. It was every man for themselves, every corporation for themselves, and everything else. Because prior to integration, corporations paid people huge wages so that they didn't have fucking $14 billion in profit because they were willing to pay their white people. It's not going to happen. It's sick. It's sick. And it's discouraging. It's discouraging. I pose to you, why would any person who's making $18 an hour be inspired to continue working hard when everywhere around him they've got their hands in his pocket and they're not giving him a leg up? Why? Why should a person making $18 an hour have to pay a competitive copay rate for medical insurance or a competitive car insurance rate? Why? These things that are mandated, like automobile insurance, it should be $50 for everyone across the board, period. Why is the insurance business an indemnity that is designed to help protect an asset in the business of profit making? It's supposed to protect an asset. We're required to have it to protect an asset and protect society. So why is it about a profit? It should be a 501c3, period, point blank. This is fucked up. That's what I'm on my soapbox about. And I'll do a hell of a lot more. I'll get on my green screen eventually, and I'll show you these numbers and where I get these numbers and everything else. I'll show you my research. I have no problem doing my research in front of you. But this is the hard truth. And this is what I'm on my soapbox about. I feel sorry for my friend. He's in tears. My friend is in tears, wanting to give up because he can't see a way through. It's fucked up.